Let's find out if I made a mistake by going self-employed. Today I'm going to list out the pros and cons of renting a room and going solo. I don't want any new beauty therapists or anyone who's working in a salon to misunderstand the points that I'm going to make in this video, because you can argue both sides. This is just going to give you some insight and it's going to allow me to see if I made a good decision or not. The first pro of going self-employed is that I can obviously choose my own hours. Being a beauty therapist anyway, there is some room for flexibility depending on which salon you work for, but going self-employed, I can tailor it to my lifestyle even more. I personally chose to work 10 to 6, which works very well for me. I do some evenings, but not all the time, because then I will fall behind on messages that I need to get back to, laundry that I need to do, like washing the towels at work, my own laundry, going to the gym, just my own lifestyle as well. And I'm personally closed on Sundays and Mondays, which works very well for my lifestyle again. The next pro is that my hard work actually pays off. It goes into me, you know, my bank account and my business and my name and my everything. You know, I'm putting in all the hard work to give the customers the service that I want to give them. I haven't had to deal with bad reviews as often as I used to when I've worked in other salons. Touch wood. I used to deal with complaints quite regularly in other salons, but yeah, because I'm putting in all the hard work and I have full control over this business, it's paying off and it's going really well. Just to make a counter argument for anyone who is newly qualified or working in a salon, of course there are ways that you get rewarded for your hard work as well, whether it's commission based or bonuses or anything like that. So there are ways that you can get rewarded for your hard work, but being self-employed, it all goes to me. That's a big pro. The next pro is that you can potentially earn more money being self-employed and having your own business. This may not be the case at the beginning. I struggled for quite a while. I struggled for about a year. It's only in the last 6 months I've started to earn a decent amount, and the potential of earning more being self-employed, it's definitely there. The next pro is something really important for me. It's the fact that I have full control over the timings for every treatment that I have, and I personally add cleanup time after every treatment possible. That cleanup time is not only to clean up and set up for my next client, but it's also to catch up on messages that I might have, go to the toilet, drink water, have a break if I need to, have a little stretch if I need to. As well as that cleanup time, I choose how long I spend on each treatment. If a full leg wax takes me 45 minutes, I give myself 45 minutes plus the cleanup time. If it takes you less time and you wanna, you know, you're someone who is quite fast, then you can earn more money and do shorter times, and you have that control. The next pro is that I can choose what treatments I want to provide. Now, where I'm based, I have also listened to what my clients want in the area. It's a lot of the locals that come to me, and they like to have a lot of things under one roof. So I personally do waxing, I do eyebrows and eyelashes, like lash lift, brow lamination treatments, electrolysis, and I do nails. It's not a long list of treatments. Like, I don't do facials or massages like what I've done in other salons or other treatments. And although my clients would have loved for me to provide these services as well, I don't want to make my list too long. So I personally chose what treatments I want to provide, and if I want to take anything away, I can. The next pro, I'm just being cheeky and I'm listing so many pros here so you can kind of see where this video is going. The next pro is that I can choose when I can have my lunch. If I'm not hungry at 12, I don't have to eat at 12. Of course, I work a little bit according to clients, but I personally cannot function properly if I haven't eaten or drinking enough water. I don't relate to those TikToks and those memes anymore, where it's like hairdressers or lash technicians or nail techs where they're like, oh, when you miss your lunch because XYZ. I don't relate to that anymore. Don't get me wrong, it's happened once or twice where if my clients were late, or if a client was desperate for an appointment, I didn't have my lunch and I did their appointment instead. But it's something that I really don't like to do. I take my lunch very seriously. The next pro is that I can take a holiday whenever I want with no restrictions, unless I give myself restrictions. In salons I've worked at, with the contract, with some of them, I wasn't allowed to go on holiday June, July, August. There were some salons where they wanted 3 months notice. and that was a little bit long for me. Back then I was a little bit of a last minute person and I wouldn't book holidays that far in advance. And then some salons I had to work around other beauty therapists, so 2 therapists weren't allowed to go on holiday at the same time because they would be understaffed. I wasn't allowed to go on holiday at the beginning of the month or the end of the month because that's when people get paid and more likely to book in a beauty treatment, so I had to be in the middle of the month. There were just loads of restrictions in some salons I've worked at. The year that I became self-employed, I booked 4 holidays for that whole year, and I have never been on that many holidays in one year before. Was that a smart decision when I just started a new business and I wasn't earning enough money? Probably not, but I'm glad I did it because that's memories that I've created personally. Traveling keeps me sane. I don't want to make any new beauty therapists or anyone who's working in a salon feel bad when it comes to this point, because there are counter arguments to it. One of them is it really depends on what type of salon you're working for. When I was working in a spa, and it was a big spa with a big team, there weren't that many restrictions at all. It was 1 month notice, which was very decent. I didn't have to work around anyone else's schedule because it was a large team. If there were more than one beauty therapist going away on holiday, that was perfectly fine because they had such a big team. There was definitely someone who could cover a shift. If traveling is important to you, then yeah, it's either the self-employed route or working for a salon that has a really large team. The final pro that I personally am going to talk about is the fact that I can choose what brand I like to work with. Now, I secretly used to do this anyway. When I was looking for a job in a salon, I would look at what brands they are working with if they made it clear on their website. But there have definitely been salons where I didn't like every single brand that they were working with, and I have worked with waxes in particular, or other products as well, that were so shit. It made my job very, very difficult, and it wasn't, I felt like for example the wax, it was a hot wax in particular that I'm talking about on this occasion. The cheapest wax that was available, it was something that was on like the back shelf of a wholesaler. Well, people order online now. It's like the last page of the wholesaler online. They were trying to clearly just make profit over the wax. It would break the hair, the wax would crack. The clients were full of ingrown hairs because it just wouldn't remove the hair properly. I would have to go over and over an area. It just made my life very difficult. But yeah, being self-employed, you can pick everything yourself. So I made being self-employed sound amazing, but there are pros and cons to everything, and I'm now going to tell you the cons, and we're going to see if I've made the right decision in going self-employed. The first con, and the biggest con for me with the route I took, was struggling to pay rent. I would have loved to have a home studio, but I don't have the space. So the route that I ended up taking was renting a room within a hair salon. Where I'm renting, if they weren't lenient with me, if they weren't understanding, I probably would have left and quit a long time ago. I wouldn't have survived. There are times where it's quiet and I might worry a little bit, so that is a con when it comes to the route that I took. The next con I kind of touched on is that your income is not guaranteed. It may not be consistent. You might earn a lot in 1 month and then the next month you might earn peanuts. Just when I felt like I was doing well, for some reason it was quiet in January, it was quiet in February, and it was quiet in March. So you could have imagined the stress that was going on in here, worrying about rent, worrying about guaranteed income, worrying about my life. Luckily, I don't have huge responsibilities. I don't have children, for example. But yeah, it's a con. It's a con when it comes to going self-employed. The third con, becoming self-employed and working all by myself, is that I am all by myself. I'm the beauty therapist, I'm the receptionist, I'm the social media person, and I'm the cleaner. My mind can go numb sometimes, but where I have like some way to sort of help this is, so I did a few things. One thing that I did is my working hours. I made it 10 to 6 so that I can have time to deal with things in the morning and deal with things after work. Another thing that I did is I am now on Treatwell. For those of you who don't know, Treatwell is a website where you can book beauty treatments. A customer simply goes on this website, it's also an app, they type in what beauty treatment they're looking for and it shows the salons that are near them. There's reviews on there, it's got the price list on there, it's got the availability on there as well. Being on Treatwell, even though it was an expense and it's pricey. They do the marketing for me, they can find me new customers, and it really cuts down on the amount of admin that I have to do. Rather than going backwards and forwards with messages with, can you do Saturday? Yes, what time? Do you have between like 12 or 1? Yes. Do you want 12:30? Yes. What treatments do you want to book? It can get very draining and confusing as well. Like, there was a time where I was so confused and I was making mistakes with everyone's bookings because I was answering about 5 of these in the space of an hour. With Treatwell, people go on there, they find my business. You can also favourite it so they can easily find it. They find what treatments they want to book, they pick it. It's almost like adding it to their cart, but they're adding it to their appointment. They see when I'm available. They see every single time slot that's available. They can choose to pay, or they can pay in the salon. That has saved me my mental health. So there are ways to help with these 4 roles that I have to do, but it is a con because I am all by myself. And until I find another way where I'm earning more to a point where I can afford to pay staff, or find another way, I am going to be a very busy woman, you know. The next con is doing your own taxes. You can obviously just get an accountant and you don't have to do much work here. But yeah, when I first became self-employed, honestly, I cried. I cried a little bit because it was too much. It was too much for my brain to handle. And as I said, I'm not even doing 4 roles. I'm doing 5. I'm also the manager. I'm doing stock checks, ordering stock. So on top of that, to do my own accounts, honestly, drove me over the wall. The next con. So I spoke about how I can go on holiday whenever I want, and I made it sound amazing. I don't get paid for it. I don't get holiday pay. I don't get other benefits like sick pay. Yeah, I'm not going to be earning money when I'm taking a 2-week holiday in Bali. So that needs to be considered as a con when it comes to being self-employed. The final con that I'm going to talk about is very dependent on the type of person you are. But ever since I became self-employed, I have felt a little bit lonely and sometimes demotivated. And where I'm by myself, I don't have colleagues to help uplift me and motivate me, or share certain things with. If I do get a complaint, I don't have that colleague where they're like, in the salon, if we ever got a complaint, I never used to take it to heart, and I never used to be upset about it for longer than 5 minutes. We would all deal with it, then laugh about it, and then it was gone. But being by myself, and where this is my own business as well, it can be hard and it can be lonely. So that's just a con that I felt like was appropriate to put in here because it was part of my list, my pro and con list. I can sit here for hours and think of more pros and cons, but in conclusion, there are more pros, and the pros outweigh the cons. I probably wouldn't have been saying this a year ago. In fact, up until 6 months ago, I wouldn't have been saying this. It's only in the last 6 months my business is starting to it's starting to stand on its own 2 legs. With my situation, it really took its sweet ass time for it to work. Everyone's experience is different. I've listened to podcasts and their business flourished within 3 months of opening it. Clearly I was just, I don't know, I think I was the issue. I didn't have business strategy or marketing skills or whatever, and I was going to give up, but I'm very, very glad that I didn't give up. I'm very happy with the way it's going so far. Again, I don't want to jinx it. Hopefully in the future I will make a video on tips on what I think made my business a little bit more successful. But yeah, I didn't make a mistake. There's room for improvement, and that's it. Thank you for watching.